This is a tough video to make, uh, somewhat comical, but I'm going to try to be real and well, this is real because it's not scripted. So basically, the reason I'm recording this video because of what happened with The Last of Us 2. So if you're living under a rock, it's hard not to know what happened in the first 2 hours of the game. Spoiler alert, if you don't know, please close the video. If you already know, and keep watching. And I'm sure a lot of people, just like myself, are watching a lot of videos that are venting our frustration about what had happened to Joel. They killed Joel, and not just killed him, in a heroic way, not in the way any of us expected, but they killed him like a dog. Actually, even worse, because even the dog had a quick, pain, not as gruesome death as he did. But to be honest with you, I didn't even want to do this video, but I'm doing it because I actually have a reason to do it. Multiple reasons, but I'll start off with the my initial reaction was I was shocked. I was shocked, I was angry. Because I know this Joel Miller from The Last of Us is a digital fictional character. He's not even a real person. But that would negate that we're emotional creatures. That would negate that video games are an emotional medium that transcends literature, music, TV, movies. In my mind, video games are probably the greatest interactive medium because we're not only passive participants, we're actually active. We're inside this world. We become a participant. We live and breathe in that world in a virtual way. And so in 2013, when Naughty Dog released The Last of Us, many people, especially men or young men, fell in love with the character of Joel. He was somewhat of a father figure, not just to Ellie, but to all of us. We took control of him, playing as him, but we also admired his courage, his resourcefulness, his mentorship, him his character development, because we could see where he was at the start of the game, and he became a more compassionate person. He was more his heart softened, you could say, towards Ellie, where he was somewhat, pushing her away initially, but then we could see at the end their relationship was probably as strong as his relationship was with his own flesh and blood daughter. So yeah, we had 7 years to kind of bond with that character digitally, playing that game over and over. A lot of people did. To be honest, I only played it once, maybe 1.5 times. But that playthrough that I had, I didn't speed run or anything. I really took my time with the game and really got immersed in it and really took the time to absorb the world. And one of my favorite moments, there's so many great moments, but is behind me there where they saw those giraffe. And I kept reloading that save and just, listening to music, just being in the moment. Like it was, like I was there, like it was real for me. So, those are beautiful, touching moments in the game. The game itself, the first one, was so intense. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, but The Last of Us 2, I wouldn't say it's a better game, but it's a better story for sure. Resident Evil 4 is just better paced. But anyway, the point is, let's get back on topic, is with Joel, I'm not going to lie, since Sunday, it's now, I think, Wednesday, the last 3 days or so, I went into a depression, surprisingly. I didn't think I would, but I became sad And all I could do was watch YouTube videos about it, about people venting their frustration about this. I just wanted to do a video. I'm just going, ah, like this is BS. Like how they did Joel like that. Like I can understand all the 0 reviews, all the 1 reviews, 1 out of 10. Although personally, I wouldn't write a 0 out of 10 because those people at Naughty Dog put a lot of work into it. Those who actually designed the game and the gameplay and the music and everything. So I think it deserves at least a 1 just for their effort. But, I don't think it deserves a 0 because we still have to honor those people who were not involved in the story, who are not Neil Druckmann or whatever his name is. So let me just get on with my video. I'm going to share my screen and show you some things here. So yeah, I was looking at pictures of Joel. Okay, yeah, there's that. Let's look at Metacritic. Metacritic says here, The Last of Us Part 2, out now, the hugely anticipated PS4 exclusive, is an even better sequel to Naughty Dog's 2013 hit. Really? I beg to differ. As you can see, I'm cosplaying as like a post-apocalyptic, inspired by Joel outfit to, give honor to his digital memory, although he's not a real person, but to a lot of us, he was real. He was like a father figure to a lot of people. So if we look at the user score, we have at this time over 77,000 ratings, and I've heard they deleted a lot of the negative ones. So we have a user score, average score of 4.4, which is 44%. So I'm not, okay, let's click on the user reviews just for the sake of looking at them. See what's the top one, most helpful one. And I'll get into the gist of what I'm saying here. Okay, it breaks my heart to write this, but I really did not expect such a poor story after all these years of waiting. Yeah, 7 years. Well, there were a few genuinely good moments. Majority of the game filled up with plot holes. It just took elements of what worked for the first game without understanding what made them compelling. It seems like this game was done by another studio, but it's not. The basic gameplay has stayed the same, for better or worse. Environment puzzles are almost gone. I didn't know that. So remove story from the table and you're left with the shallow gameplay that will have you looking for some other game. So that's June 19th. And I'll just read the next one here. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. I waited 5 years to play this. They gave me a horrible intro and censored ending. I just want to forget about this game. And I'm going to read this third one and just leave it at that. Pros, okay. All of those parts undeniable, very good. Wait, I'll just start at the top. So I got the game early and played it. I read or saw no spoilers before the release. I never do. So here's what I think. Pros, gameplay, graphics, atmosphere, sound, music. So all those things are great. All those parts are undeniably very good. It's top notch. Sure, the controls sometimes feel weird, but they do in most of the games. It would be unfair to say this game isn't up to date in terms of all those points I mentioned. Cons, story, character design, character development, plot holes. So even with all the pros, this game is really, really bad. It makes no sense that Ellie acts how she acts in certain parts of the game. But that isn't even the biggest thing about why it's so bad or why it's bad. The reason is character development. If you kill one of the most beloved characters early in the game, Joel, and want to bring in new main playable characters like Abby, you have to bring way more backstory in order to make the player feel with her. I mean, she killed Joel. How do you make the player like her? Bring more and more backstory before she does that. Let the players play 2 to 10 hours as Abby when she was a child or whatever. The backstory of her is basically told in 10 minutes, and then her dad is being killed. That's it. And now I have to feel with her. and understand why she killed Joel? Hell no. That is weak storytelling. Really, really weak. Then there are all the other new characters. Nobody is likable. Like, really. They all feel empty. They are only shells without any meaning. This game is just bad. Do yourself a favor and don't buy it. The reviews the journalists wrote are either bought by Sony or Naughty Dog or are heavily politically influenced. Sad thing is, because of that, same journalists will not likely make this game of the year. Or, sadly, because of that, game journalists, okay, that was a typo. What a joke. Save your money and buy something else. And last but not least, this is technically a very good game, but the story / characters are so bad, it just doesn't matter how well the rest is done. You want a good revenge story? Watch Old Boy. Then you know how to make a good revenge story. I'm going to say RoboCop is another good one. A revenge story that shocks everybody to their core. This game right here, it's garbage. I want to read one more. Oh, it's a long one. Okay, well, it got a lot of good reviews on this review, so let's read it. The Last of Us 2 is a true testament to how not to make a sequel for a game. While gameplay received better animation and such, it mostly remained the exact same and becomes monotonous and predictable for the 25 plus hour story. While it's not bad, you'd hope for a much bigger upgrade or overhaul of crafting and other gameplay mechanics, but many remained completely untouched. But the gameplay isn't what causes the game to be a failure, in my opinion, because that's not what people really play The Last of Us for anyways. People play for the character in the story, or characters, which is nothing short of disappointing and misguided in this game. The utter lack of respect toward previous or even new characters prevents the player from getting invested in them, and the game fails to utilize the one relationship the player was already invested in going into the game. Instead, they demolish that relationship and never really show it getting back to anything of what it used to be. Most other characters in this game are stagnant and replaceable, and while they have good performances, fail to make me care about them in a meaningful way. Actually, I want to add that, it wasn't just Ellie's relationship with Joel that was killed, it was the player's relationship. We had a relationship with Joel. Emotionally, we went through so many hours playing in his world, as him, experiencing the things he went through in his life, in his gaming life. And you sever that relationship. And, just like people are up in arms about Luke Skywalker being offed, they have a right to. Everyone's got they have a right to their opinion and how they feel about this. So to label all these people saying it's negative as bigots and whatever, names, labels, is unfair. It's just not fair. Okay. That is until they get brutally murdered on a quest for revenge. By the end of the game, I was numb to violence. Nothing shocked me anymore. I'm not sure what the game was even trying to say through all the violence and misery. What I do know is that I feel devastated for Ellie and deep hatred for another character. I truly hope Naughty Dog lets this franchise die in the pit they dug for it. I absolutely loved the first game, but this train wreck wants me to feel depressed for nothing. Some of the lessons it tries to teach seem so stupidly simple. I ask myself if I was even hearing it right. All I can hear now is the ringing in my ears after listening to one of my favorite games get pillaged and massacred in the name of subverted expectations. Do not recommend. Okay. They have good performances, failed to make me... Okay, right. I didn't read that part. They have good performances, the new characters. So I'm going to close this tab and look at YouTube now. So let's look at all these, not watch them all, but just scan over these. People are banned over the use of Last of Us 2 memes. What, on Twitter? Kojima just roasted The Last of Us 2. Fans are begging for a remake. Wow. You know what? Why not? PewDiePie just is doing a live Stream of a 10-hour Abby speedrun. All the reviews, interaction with Angry Joe. Nonsensical Russian bots review bombing. So I'm a Russian bot too, I suppose. Nita keeps blaming fans. Wow, that's one way to lose sales. Dina, the actual actress, the motion cap actress, really reacts. She seems like a nice person. You know, I don't want to beat down on the actual real life people. You know, it's not fair if people attack the actors involved, because the real culprit is the guy who did the story. So, you know, there's a mocap actor for Abby. We shouldn't be attacking her. And if anyone's doing that, please don't do that. Respect everybody. It is just a video game. So there are boundaries. You have to respect those boundaries. Be respectful. But it's okay to express our frustration over this. You know, some people say that any publicity is good publicity. Even bad publicity is good. I disagree. The Last Jedi would disagree with that. The Rise of Skywalker would disagree with that too. Batman versus Superman. A lot of bombs, movies that started off well, a lot of things that started off well. Game of Thrones, and then the last season, season 8, they ended badly, or something happened where the fan base was angered. You can see the reaction. They basically they nuked their franchise and their reputations to the point that the fan base just wants you to go bankrupt. They want nothing to do with you anymore. Am I that way with Naughty Dog? You know what? I'm not. I'm not going to buy Last of Us 2, but I'm not going to do that to Naughty Dog, because what I'm going to do for the next game, Last of Us 3 or whatever they do, I'm going to wait for reviews and look at the Metacritic user score and make a determination based on, you know, user scores, looking at those and kind of gauging. And, you know, I do respect those people who just go in blind, right? They don't listen to reviews. They just accept, they play the game and then they make their own judgment based on that. So the point of this video, besides venting about Joel and talking about, because I'm sure a lot of other people are sad too, they just can't express that, yeah, they are depressed. And I was depressed. I still am, to some degree, depressed about it, even though he wasn't a person I actually knew and didn't actually exist in the flesh and blood. So I'm going to go into my next video about this a little more detail. I didn't want to do 2 parts, but it looks like I'm going to have to. So thanks for your time. I'm going to talk about how I'm going to connect this to something even bigger, and why it just hits us so hard, like deep in our feels, you know. So you know, this is a travesty, it's a tragedy. In this time of COVID-19 and everything going on, things like this hit harder because, yeah, we have more time on our hands, and a lot of us are socially isolated. A lot of us are already depressed and sad. So for this to happen, it's like kicking a man while he's down. Actually, literally taking a golf club and smacking a man's, you know, bashing his brains in. That's what you're doing to us. We all felt that when Joel got, you know, shotgun to the knee and then golf club to the head. We all felt that. We felt it in our hearts and in our minds. It was scarring. It was jarring. And, you know, Naughty Dog, I have nothing to say to you. Not Naughty Dog as a company, but specifically the writer who decided this is a good idea. And you can see it wasn't. You can see you can deny it as much as you want. And yeah, so your sales may be good, but I guarantee they will not be good the next time around. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for your time, and I'll do a part 2 as to expanding on the pain that we feel about Jewel.